Luka Doncic versus Anthony Edwards playing to go to the NBA Finals came earlier than most might have expected, but a tear in history is about to be made. After a tremendous Game 7 20-point comeback for the Minnesota Timberwolves in a thrilling series and a 6-game upset against the number 1 seed for the Dallas Mavericks, the two teams, led by two of the league's best young superstars, are set to play each other in the Western Conference Finals. This marks only the second matchup ever between these two franchises, with the Dallas Mavericks previously sweeping the Minnesota Timberwolves in 3 games back in 2002. That was a classic matchup between two young superstars at that time, in Dirk Nowitzki and Kevin Garnett. This is just Minnesota's second appearance in the Western Conference Finals as a franchise, and the second appearance for Luka Doncic in his 6-year career. In the regular season, the two teams matched up 4 times, and Minnesota took 3 of the 4 games, but all of those games occurred before Dallas acquired Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington in trades, and Luka and Kyrie only played in 2 of the 4 games, splitting the series when they were active. Consequently, it's uncertain exactly how Dallas and Minnesota will now match up. Anthony Edwards has been outstanding in these playoffs, averaging nearly 30 points per game. His rise this postseason has been exciting to watch, but he is certainly not alone. The Mavericks will need strong performances from their big men in this series. They dominated a smaller Oklahoma City Thunder team on the glass, but will face a much tougher challenge against Minnesota's formidable frontline, featuring Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, and 6th Man of the Year Naz Reid. Dallas uses rotations featuring Gafford and Derek Lively and have been missing Maxi Kleber after his injury. But with or without Kleber, the Wolves, as per usual, have a great size advantage against their opponent. The Timberwolves boast a stifling defense, having the league's best defensive rating throughout the regular season. However, the Mavericks had the best defensive rating over the final 20 games of the regular season, and like the Wolves, their success in these playoffs has come through a defense-first identity. And even with Minnesota's impressive defensive assets, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are known as 2 of the most prolific scorers in the league for good reason. Now, the easy point of focus in this series would be to continue to emphasize the battle of Luka versus Ant. We could highlight their matchup as being a battle for the face of the NBA. But this series is poised to be an important defensive matchup, and like every playoff series, each team will rely on key contributions from players other than just the superstars. So, who are the X factors in this series? Let's start with the Wolves. Minnesota's identity is clearly all about defense. Anthony Edwards has emerged as a premier on-ball guard defender himself, while he relies on the 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, along with Cat and Naz Reid to protect the rim. But in my opinion, both a defensive and offensive X factor has been and will continue to be Jaden McDaniels. McDaniels will likely take on the matchup of guarding Luka Doncic, and as one of the most skilled defenders in the league, we're in for a battle. Luka was able to lead the Mavs to a round 2 victory in a series where he was being guarded by the physical and aggressive defensive Lu Dort. But McDaniels poses other threats to Luka that make his matchup a little more complicated. He's a lengthier defender who navigates screens well. Now, Luka one-on-one is virtually unguardable, but with McDaniels taking the assignment and being supported by the defensive juggernauts the Wolves lineup features, things will certainly be interesting. On offense, McDaniels had some huge performances against Denver, including in Game 7, where he led the team in scoring. When Jaden McDaniels is making threes, it's usually a sign that the Wolves' offense is firing on all cylinders. Now, for the Mavs, let's talk about 2. PJ Washington delivered 3 consecutive 20-point performances in games 2 through 4, and then secured Dallas's victory from the foul line in Game 6. Although the power forward was largely absent for most of Game 6, Derrick Jones Jr. rose to the occasion, achieving his 3rd consecutive game with a career high in playoff scoring. Jones scored 22 points, marking his 3rd straight game with at least 15 points, an accomplishment he had only achieved once before, occurring earlier in this season. Of course, there's no better time than the playoffs to showcase your best performance. PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr. are for the Mavs in many ways what Jaden McDaniels is for the Wolves. They represent aggressive, lengthy defense, and their offensive performances have been the deciding factor in several of their postseason games. They will likely split time defending Anthony Edwards, and the 2 of them will be key in the Mavericks' success. The Timberwolves and Mavericks were not the expected contenders for the Western Conference Finals for most of the NBA world, but they have undoubtedly earned their place among the final four teams. Both teams have played exceptional basketball against tough opponents. While Anthony Edwards and Luka Doncic will naturally be the focal point of this matchup, the supporting cast should not be overlooked. Both teams have constructed strong rosters from top to bottom, with impressive contributions from role players, propelling them to this stage. Numerous players could emerge as playoff heroes in this series. The Wolves made life difficult for Jamal Murray in round 2, holding Denver's second star to just 40.3% shooting from the field and 33.3% from three-point range, thanks to their elite defensive prowess. Can they achieve similar results against Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving? During the regular season, the Timberwolves faced that tough challenge. Although Doncic only played in 2 of those matchups, he averaged 36.5 points, 10.5 assists, and 6 rebounds while shooting 50.9% from the field. Jaden McDaniels was given the initial defensive assignment, but struggled to contain Doncic's post moves. The Timberwolves rotated other defenders on Doncic, including Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Anthony Edwards, but none could significantly slow him down. Minnesota may attempt similar strategies that worked against Murray, such as applying full court pressure on Doncic to wear him down. This tactic has been a common approach against the Mavericks in recent seasons and in this season, and given that Doncic isn't at full strength, it might prove to be effective. What sets the Mavericks apart this year is the presence of their second star, Kyrie Irving, who has shown that he can take over in crucial moments and ease the burden of Doncic. Although Irving had a quiet second round against the Thunder, he has integrated well into this Dallas lineup, playing excellent defense and still being capable of delivering huge performances. But despite Dallas's advantages, it's challenging to bet against the Timberwolves after they defeated a formidable opponent in the Nuggets. This team shows incredible resilience, as evidenced by overcoming a 15-point halftime deficit in Game 7. Their defense is daunting. The effectiveness of Dallas's lob game with Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively will truly be tested with Rudy Gobert patrolling the paint. Minnesota has also addressed its primary concern of generating sufficient offense to win games. Edwards has been outstanding, averaging 28.9 points per game in these playoffs, and all 5 of their starters are averaging double figures, providing a balanced attack. This series promises to be a hard-fought battle between 2 excellent teams. Minnesota is well equipped to slow down Luka's pick and rolls, while also having another quality defender to challenge Irving. But as great as Minnesota's defense is, Luka, Kyrie, and the Mavericks' offense is significantly different from Denver's. When it comes to the betting odds and general opinion, the Wolves will likely be the favorite in this series. It is the 3 seed facing the 5 seed. However, I've learned not to doubt Luka Doncic in the playoffs. Who do you have winning this series, and how many games? Let us know in the comments, and please subscribe. Thanks for watching Sports Pantheon.